Hey there, tech fans. Rick here again with another gadget that I think you're going to really like. It's the Explorer 500 portable power station from our friends over at Jackery. This product will help to keep all of your portable electronics fully charged and operational when you're away from home. Now, these type of portable charging solutions have become incredibly popular in recent years as people are spending more time outdoors, and they've also matured quite a bit. Now, Jackery is a company that's been in this business for a long time. This product here is the Explorer 500. It provides 518 watt hours of power, which is a lot of energy packed into the case, but they also make smaller models starting with the 160, the 240, the 300, the 500, and a larger unit that's a 1000. This one for me is sort of that perfect mix of weight and energy density, so I like this one an awful lot. It's right in that Goldilocks zone where it's not too heavy to take along, but it gives you more than enough energy to charge and operate all of your technical gear. Now I'm going to spend a few minutes doing an unboxing first because I want to show you exactly what comes with the kit, because they pack a lot of cool stuff in with this product, and then I'll take a little bit more time and take a closer look at the unit and explain how you can charge it and what you can charge from it and all the specifications that are involved with that. And then I'll come back at the end and explain why you might like a unit like this and some of the various use cases for it. Now let's get started with the unboxing. So I was going to rip the box open here, but it's a big box, so I thought I'd take it out and put it down on the table. So when you open up the box, you'll find the Explorer 500. Again, it's a beautiful unit, nice rounded corners, high impact plastic, really comfortable handle on the top. It's got a light on the side, and I'll go through all these things in more detail in a minute. Also in the box is a full instruction manual to show you exactly how to charge the unit, how to use the unit, and how to take care of the unit. Also included is a brochure to show you some of the other warranty information you need, as well as some of the other products that they offer. Because again, Jackery makes a wide range of these products. They make solar panels you can use to charge this unit and all the other units they have. So it's a company that really has thought through the whole process of storing energy, delivering energy, and then charging it from the sun. Also included, which I think is really cool, is a little card that gives you contact information in case you need to get a hold of the company. There's emails and phone numbers on there. It's going to work for you just fine, but if you need to get a hold of them with a question, this is how you do it. I also think that it's really clever. They've made it in the shape of the actual power station here. It's adorable. Look at that. It's like a miniature version of that. So pretty cool on those guys. One thing I do want to point out too is that a lot of these companies don't actually produce manuals anymore. They'll give you a link where you go to their website and you've got to download some PDF, and who wants to do that? So good on these guys for including a full-size manual that actually has diagrams and information you can actually read where you don't need a microscope to look at it. So good on you guys from Jackery. All right, included as well is a pouch. Now inside the pouch are the connections you'll need to charge the unit and draw power from the unit. So let me open this up. I also think this is a really nice touch because they could have thrown the cables in the box and sort of said good luck with the cables there. Anyway, to charge the unit, you get an AC adapter right here with a power cord. You'll plug this into the wall, you'll plug this into the front of the unit, and you can charge it when you're home. That's the fastest way to charge this unit. Also included is a cable here that you can use to charge it from your car. So the same connection on both cables right here at the end plugs into this charging port right up here, and that's where you charge it. And again, you can charge it from your car, you can charge it from your home. You can also use a solar panel when you're outside in the woods or whatever. Set that up, a nice folding solar panel up towards the sun, and that will actually drink the electricity from the sun and charge this unit back up. So you have three ways of charging, which I think is really versatile. Now, obviously, if you charge it at home, it's going to charge faster. If you charge it in the car, it's going to take a little bit longer, and if you charge it in the sun, it's going to take a little bit longer still, but I think it's great that you can charge it three different ways. So let's talk a little bit about why you'd like a unit like this and what's different about this one than all the other ones on the market. Well, when you think about this unit, what you're buying here essentially is a big battery. It's a storage device for energy, for electrons. And for you to use it, you've got to throw electrons at it. You got to fill up the battery just like you'd fill up a jug of water. Once it's full, you can take it with you in the field and you can use that energy to charge all your other devices. Now, a couple of things are going on there. Number one, charging the unit, there has to be protections built in to make sure that you're charging the internal battery safely. They've thought of that. But the bigger issue is that battery management system inside the unit has to take responsibility of figuring out all the things you're going to plug into the front of this and very carefully deliver the right amount of current at the right voltage to those devices to not damage them. Because think about it, you're going to be plugging in a lot of very expensive devices, maybe a TV, a laptop, a cell phone, a tablet, maybe you're charging your drones with it. All of those things that are drinking the electricity from inside this battery have different needs, and different currents and voltage have to be delivered to those devices. So the battery management system inside of here is extremely important, and that's where Jackery excels. They've spent a lot of time thinking about how they can at the same time deliver current and voltage to different devices and maintain safety with those devices. So that battery management system inside here is really one of the big selling points for it. The other thing that's different about a lot of these units is the way they deliver the current. So with the Jackery, you've got a bunch of different choices on the front. You can do DC here with a standard outlet like a car outlet. You can plug in anything that will charge off of your cigarette lighter in your car right there. They also include 3 USB cables right here. So those are USB-A. Those are 5 volt 2.5 amp, which is a really high current to be able to deliver to those devices. So you can charge 3 USB devices at the same time. They also include an AC outlet over here. Now I want to talk about that a little bit because a lot of these portable power stations like this provide AC. To do AC off a DC battery, you have to build something in called an inverter, which basically takes the DC voltage of the batteries, chops that up into sinusoidal wave at 120 volts. Now, typically you're going to see 120 volts at 60 hertz. A lot of these do that, but they don't do a pure sine wave. And that's something you really need to look at when you're comparing units against each other, because if it's a modified sine wave, even though it'll work and you can light a light bulb with it and you can probably run a TV on it, if you're running really sensitive electronics, they don't like that modified sine wave. They want to have a pure sine wave. This unit is a pure sine wave, which means it's going to deliver a very smooth 120 volts at 60 hertz out of that AC outlet. So you can run a TV, a laptop, a charger off the AC outlet while you're charging something from this DC connector over here, as well as the USB. So it allows you to do a lot of stuff at the same time. And you may already be thinking, Rick, I can build one of these on my own. All I need to do is get a car battery and take that out with me in the field. Well, think about that a second. First of all, you're lugging a big car battery around with you, which is always a headache. But more importantly, to turn it into AC, you're going to need an inverter. So if you buy an inverter off the internet and you connect it up to the car battery, you can definitely deliver AC. But is that inverter pure sine wave? And it's another thing you got to bundle in there. And then you're thinking, well, what about these DC connections up front? I take the 12 volts. How do I convert that down to 5 volts? So everything in this unit is designed to deliver the right voltage at the right current to the devices you're connecting to. So here's pure 12 volts. Here's 5 volts at 2.5 amps. Here's 120 volts at 60 hertz. So all these together provide really the ultimate charging solution, because there's pretty much nothing out there that you'll want to charge off this device or operate, as long as you're under the 518 watt hours, that this thing can't provide power for. So I'm going to talk a little bit next about the closer look, because I want to take a look at all the devices and explain a little bit further about the specifications of how you connect it. But essentially, you're going to charge it through this port right up here, whether that's AC at home, DC in your car, or DC from a solar panel, and you're going to draw energy out of the unit down here. And all of these have switches, and there's a really nice digital display up top that will not only tell you how much current is left in the device, what the charge levels are, but also what kind of current you're delivering to the devices downstream. And all that's really important. Now, I've used this product for probably the last 5 weeks or so, and we actually had a power failure here in New Jersey that took our power out for 5 days. And this was on my kitchen table charging everything we own, including my drone battery. So it's a very versatile unit. It lasted for those days with no problem. We charged phones and tablets and cameras and my drone batteries. And I even charged some of my Ryobi gear because I was using flashlights from them, all of it from this little power station. So I was really impressed with the durability of it and how well it held on to the charge. But stay tuned, and next thing I'm going to do a closer look and explain the currents and all the connections on the front. And then I'll come back with some final thoughts about this unit compared to some of the others you may be considering. Now we'll take a closer look at the Jackery Explorer 500, as well as all of the accessories that are included with the kit. I'll also show you how you can safely charge the product and then take it out in the field with you and use that stored energy to both operate and charge all of your portable devices. Now, anytime you're using a portable power station like this, there are 2 things you're going to do on a regular basis. You're going to charge it, then you're going to take it with you, and you're going to share that charge with all of your portable gear. And I know that sounds like a really simple operation, charging and discharging. You're probably thinking, well, to charge it, I just plug it in, and when it's full, I take it with me, and I plug a bunch of stuff in the front, and then it charges those devices. And fundamentally, that's true, but you have to remember there's a lot of magic going on inside here, because it's based on lithium-ion batteries, and that chemistry is pretty finicky about how you charge it and how you discharge it, so you want to make sure you do it correctly so you get the longest life out of the product. Now, the good news is the folks at Jackery have thought of that. So they've built in a battery management system that controls how those batteries are charged, how you force electrons into the unit to build up that stored energy. Also, and probably more importantly, how that charge is distributed to the external devices, because you can connect a bunch of different things up to the front of this. All of them probably have different requirements as far as voltage and current, and the product has to keep track of that, and that battery management system is what's responsible for doing that. So I'm going to talk about the charging cycle first, and then I'll show you some examples of things you can plug into it and what you can use it for. Now with charging, it's interesting because a lot of these companies, when they sell you a portable power station like this, it comes with a charger, which is okay, but it's a very specialized charger with a unique connector on it that only works with their power station. You've got to charge it at home. And if you take it with you in the field, it's really difficult to charge it on the run. Jackery's made this incredibly versatile by opening up that charging port in the front. It's this port right up top here, and they've sort of built it to be accommodating to a lot of different charging solutions. So when you buy the product, included with the kit is you get a home charger, which has a standard connector on it. You also get a car charger, which you can plug into your cigarette lighter in the car. It's got the same connector on it. You can also charge this from a solar panel. So if you've got just a generic solar panel or one of the ones from Jackery, you can plug it in the front, because this port right here will accept voltages between 12 volts DC and 30 volts DC at 3.5 amps. So if you charge it with this, you charge it with this, or you charge it with the solar panel, you can charge this thing up at home, in the car, and on the go. So they've really made it incredibly versatile to give you a lot of options to charge it up. Now, charging times are something people ask a lot about. The fastest way to charge is use the home charger. It's charging at 25.2 volts at 3.5 amps. The next fastest way is to use the solar panel, which is going to charge it probably around 18 volts for 3.5 amps. And the slowest way to charge it is from your car, because you're charging it at 12 volts at 3.5 amps. So 25.2, 18, 12, you can do the math and figure out how long it's going to take you. But essentially, 7.5 hours. Solar panel typical in bright sunlight, about 9.5 hours. Car battery direct into it, about 15 hours. So I would only use this as a last resort. I would go with the solar panel if you're out in the field a lot, or if you're at home, charge it with the home charger. But again, the cool thing is they've got voltage regulation built in where it can go from 12 volts to 30 volts. It'll only charge at 3.5 amps, but it gives you a lot of versatility that you can use a lot of different things to charge the product up. All right, let me talk about discharging then. So once the product is fully charged, or even if it's partially charged, you have a lot of options to actually use that stored energy externally. So I'll start here with the 12 volt outlet. So they give you a 12 volt outlet and also two port connections, two courtesy port connections next to it. Now that's 12 volts at 10 amps if you plug something in here. If you're using these courtesy outlets, they're 7 amps each. So you can have a total of 10 amps for all of this, whether you're using it through this connection or you're sharing it among all three. It's a total of 10 amps, and it's 12 volts DC, again, 10 amps total. That's great, because anything you bring with you that you can plug into your car, you can plug into this and it's going to power it just fine. Next to that are the USB connections, or USB-A connections. Each of those are standard 5 volts, which is what you use for USB, at 2.5 amps each. Now, a lot of the chargers out there, I should say a lot of the portable power stations, give you USB connections, but they're like an amp or amp and a half, and it doesn't seem like that's that big a difference, but 2.4 amps is an incredibly high amount of current. It's probably, I think it is the highest amount of current you can get off a standard USB-A charging port, and to have 3 of them on there means you can charge 3 devices at the same time through those USB connections on the front. I can't tell you how important that is if you've had a power failure like we have, where it's sitting on the kitchen table and everybody wants to plug their phone in. You've got to have a lot of connections up there. I'll show you a trick in a minute to get around that. All right, so those are the USB connections. Again, you can turn those on with the switch here. You can turn this one on with the switch there. To the other side, over on the left-hand side there, is the standard 120 volt outlet. Now, again, I talked about that in the beginning. A lot of these portable power units have a 120 volt outlet on it, but the problem with that is, if it's not a pure sine wave, you could damage external components that you connect up to it. So Jackery, again, thought of that. They built in a pure sine wave output there. It's 500 watts at 120 volts, so it gives you a lot of current. You can run lights on it, you can run fans on it. You can't plug things in like arc welders or maybe even big hair dryers and stuff. Anything that's going to draw a lot of current, you can't plug in there. But what's cool about it is the display above shows you exactly what's going on through all of these ports. So it tells you what the total current being drained out of this unit is, or how many watt hours you're using currently, so you can adjust as you need to. So if you're using something heavy current here, maybe don't charge 15 phones at the same time. So you got to kind of balance it out. But I love the fact that they give you really good information through the display, and they also give you a lot of options for charging things up. So let me talk a little bit about some of the things you can connect to it. So I'll put these aside. I love the fact that they also give you a case to put all the stuff away in, because you're going to charge it, you're going to take it out in the field with you. This is going to get thrown in the back of the car. You're going to have a hard time finding it. So having this little pouch really makes it super easy to be able to hang on to those charging things. All right, so let me start with the basics here. So I've got a 12-volt outlet right there, and you can use that with anything. I've got a car charger here that you can use. This is one of the Drone Valley car chargers. I've got a USB-A and a USB-C on it. You'll plug that in there, you'll turn it on, and you're ready to go. So it's ready to charge. So I'll use let me get an Apple cable here just to start. So I've got a standard Apple cable, and I can plug in my iPhone with that. So ready to go. Boom, it's starting to charge. So that's one device being charged at a time. Now, there are adapters here where you can use standard cables to create more of these connections. So you could charge, again, 3 things at the same time, and you can draw 10 amps out of that as a cumulative number for those 3 connections. So that's basically the car charger. Now, I'll show you in a minute how you can charge your drone batteries, because that's what I've been doing a lot of. Next to that are the 3 USB connections. Let me turn that guy off and turn that guy on. And again, I can connect up my iPhone to one of the USB-Cs and it's charging. I can also connect up, let's see, a micro. I got one of those around someplace. Here we go. I can connect up a micro USB to the middle one, which allows me to charge my tablet, which happens to be a micro USB. So I've got 2 of them being charged at one time. That guy's charged now. You can see it's starting to charge. And then finally, I can connect up a USB-C if I want to the 3rd one and charge my controller. Here's my controller from my Mavic Air 2. I'll plug that in. Boom, it starts charging. So I love the fact that I can charge all these devices simultaneously and still have an AC outlet open on the end. Now, if you're looking to charge drone equipment, which is what I use this a lot for out in the field, when I'm near my car, I use my car chargers. But when I'm out in the field for a long period of time and I take this along with me, I want to be able to charge all my portable devices as well as my drone batteries. And I'll show you how to do that in a second. But before I do, one of the wrestling matches we always have at my house is that we have a lot of iPhones, we have a lot of Android devices. Some of those Android devices use micro USB connections, some USB-C, which are the newer style, and we're always fighting over who gets to plug what in. So we've designed a cable, we call it the Hydra cable, which basically allows you to plug one cable in and charge everything at the same time. So essentially what you get is one USB-A connection on the end right there. Plug that into any of the USB connections, and on the other end you've got all 3 flavors of connectors. So I've got an Apple, can plug my phone in with that. Oops, I gotta get the Apple one. This is the Apple one right here. I plug my phone in there. Boom, the phone starts charging. I can plug the USB-C in and charge my controller at the same time, and I can also charge my tablet at the same time. So what I've done there is I've taken 3 devices and only used one USB-A connection. Now these will all charge, they're sharing that 2.5 amps, but they'll all charge overnight. So when we went to bed, if we had to charge up some devices, we'd plug them in, go to bed, in the morning they'd be charged. The cool thing about this though is that nobody fights over cables. Like a second ago I showed you all those cables that were on the table. It's a headache to try and keep track of whose cable is where. So by having this one connector with 3 heads on the end of it, I leave this on the kitchen table, and whoever comes down and wants to charge their device, it's ready to go. So we have one of these in the car, we have right here with our portable device, and it just does the job for us. So I like that an awful lot. All right, let's start talking about how you would charge drone equipment. Now, you've got a couple of options there as well. If you're using the original, I've got a Mavic Air here, so let's talk about that. So there's the Mavic Air 2. If I want to charge the batteries from the Mavic Air 2, I could use the original DJI charger, plug that in the end, turn that on, and immediately the fan comes on. I'm not drawing any current yet. And I'll plug this in and start charging that battery. So, did I turn it on? Yeah, I did. There we go. Okay, so the battery's charging. And that's kind of cool. I can charge one battery at a time, but I can also, if I decide to, if I've got 2nd battery and 3rd battery like I do, let me open this guy up, take the battery out. If I want to charge more than one battery at a time, I can use a car charger. Now we have a car charger on the website that allows you to charge 2 batteries at the same time. There's 2 connections on the end of it. So I could plug that in, turn this guy on. You'll immediately see the green light come on. As soon as I connect up the batteries, the red light will come on because they need to be charged, and that's letting you know, whoops, I got to get the right connection here. Once I connect that up, that'll go red. As soon as it starts charging the battery, hopefully. And I'll connect up the second one. Are they fully charged? No, it's not fully charged. Okay, it just went red. All right, make a liar out of me there. All right, so both of these are charging. Now that's pretty cool. So in one scenario, I can take this in the field, charge the 2 batteries at the same time, and then charge the 3rd battery if I want with the AC charger. I also have the option to use a multi-charger. So I've done that as well, and I use that one around the house a lot. The multi-charger allows you to charge up to 4 batteries at the same time for the Mavic Air. So you basically plug it in for the AC outlet. Let me get this guy out of the way. There's 3 batteries, and this is a multi-charger for the Mavic Air 2. We have them for the Mavic Mini as well, but I'll plug this guy in, and on the end of this are 4 connections, so I can charge 4 batteries at the same time. So I'll connect up the first one, and the second one, and And the third one, I know this isn't terribly exciting, but I want to make sure you can see that it charges them all at the same time. So there's the third one. So what you're seeing here is it's letting you know on these LEDs across the top that 2 of them are charging. The third one hasn't charged for some reason. Not sure why that doesn't come on. Let me turn it on. And it's letting you know they're charging. When they're fully charged, these will all turn green, which is pretty cool. So that's coming out of the AC outlet, and that still leaves 3 more ports open for all my portable devices, as well as the 12-volt adapter for that device as well. So, not sure if that's, oh, it's not seated all the way. There we go. I didn't have it plugged in on the charger. I didn't mention that, but you can actually disconnect these if you're not charging something. So if it's only 3 batteries, you can have 3 charging. The other cool thing is there are 2 more USB-A connections on here. So when we had that power failure, Dad wanted to fly the quad, but everybody wanted to charge everything. So I had it set up on the kitchen table, and I had to move from the USB connections to the 12-volt connection back to the AC connection, but it allowed me to plug in one outlet and charge all my drone batteries, my controller, and my phone with one unit. But again, if you're out in the field, just imagine all the stuff you can plug in. If you're a camper, or maybe you're a glamper, one of those guys that likes to have all the accoutrements of home with you, you can plug a fan in, plug a coffee pot in, a small hair dryer, a light. If you're reading at night, you can plug a real lamp into it and have a lamp come on. So it just gives you a tremendous amount of versatility. And what I love so much about this product is the fact that they've built in the intelligence to look at all the devices I'm plugging in. Like a second ago, I had all 3 of the USB-As used. It's looking at all 3 devices saying, the iPhone needs this kind of charging current, the tablet needs this kind of charging current, and your controller needs a little bit more current because it's a USB-C, and it's making the adjustments needed to safely and quickly charge them, again, as quickly as possible without causing damage to those devices. And that's all because of that battery management system that the geniuses at Jackery have built into this product. So I feel very confident using this that it's going to safely charge all of my gear. And when I think about all the expensive stuff that I connect up to this, I've got to be sure that this thing has the brains to do that safely. So pretty cool device. Now, if you stay tuned, I'll give you a couple of hints on what you want to check when you're comparing this to other devices on the market. I love this product. I've been using it an awful lot, and I can recommend it completely. And again, they make a bunch of different styles. This is the 500 watt hour. They make a smaller one that's 300 watt hours or a bigger one that's 1,000 watt hours. So you have to choose the amount of current that you need for your devices. But I like the 500 because it's right in that Goldilocks zone where I've got enough power to charge everything, and it's not too heavy to bring along. I don't know if I mentioned it, about 13.2 pounds, which seems heavy until you get out in the field and set it down and start charging stuff, and you're really happy you brought it along. So stay tuned, and I'll give you a couple of final thoughts. Now that you understand what the Explorer 500 can provide, I wanted to spend a few minutes and talk about the things you'll need to compare when you're in the market for a portable power station like this, because Jackery's done an amazing job of building in all the things I care about. And if you're shopping around for one of these products, it's important you know what to look for so you can compare them fairly against each other. So for starters, you want to make sure that any portable power station you've got, like the Jackery, offers at least an outlet here, a convenience outlet. We used to call it a cigarette lighter adapter, but a cigarette lighter outlet, a couple of USB connections, and an AC outlet. Now, the AC outlet I mentioned before needs to be a pure sine wave. A lot of these units that are out there that are less expensive don't actually have pure sine wave output. They've got a modified sine wave, which again will work for lamps, but it's not recommended for things like computers or sensitive electronics. So that's really important to find one that's got that pure sine wave. You also want to make sure for the USB connections in the middle that you get ones that are powerful enough to drive your gear. For example, a lot of these are built with 1 amp current on those USB connections, which means they can charge, but because it's such a low current, it's going to take forever to charge your phone. In some cases, the newer phones will never get charged if they're turned on. So these have 2.5 amps each at 5 volts, which is a pretty hefty current. That's about as high as you can get with a standard 5 volt USB outlet. So there's 3 of them on the front. Also included is this courtesy outlet over here, which allows you to plug in pretty much anything you can plug in your car, which is really nice. In addition to that, there are 2 other connectors here, 2 other ports that you can use with external connections. And that's a very common connector on these type of units, where you can find cables that will give you a second one of these or a third one of these just by plugging them in on the front. So I think for me, it's got everything I need on the unit to charge anything I own today. And I'll give you one little trick that we kind of used when we were having that power failure. I have a lot of people in the house that have a wide range of products, and we're always fighting about who gets to plug in what cable to what charger. And I thought we'd solve that problem by developing a cable that Drone Valley built. Now, you may have seen me talk about this before on the channel, but we call it a Hydra cable, and it's got a USB-A connection on the one end right here, which would plug in any one of these 3 USB-A connections. and the other end has got 3 heads on it. It's got an Apple, a micro USB, and a USB-C. And we had that power failure. I had this thing plugged in to this front of the unit, and I had it sitting on the kitchen table, and no matter who came down and needed to charge one of their phones or tablets or cameras or whatever, all 3 of these connections are ready to go. So there was no fighting about, hey, where's the cable? Who's got the cable? The cable's ready to go. The other cool thing is all 3 of these heads are active at the same time, so you can actually multiply those 3 ports on the front by 3 devices. So you can actually charge 9 devices at a time off those 3 USBs on the front. Now, obviously, they're only going to deliver 2.5 amps per port, but if you're charging things overnight, it allows you to plug in a bunch of stuff on your kitchen table, go to bed, get up the next morning, and everything's ready to go. So just another thought for sort of expanding even further. I also like the fact that they built in this light on the side. Now, it's not a gigantic light. You can see that it lights up. But in addition to that, they've got SOS. So if you push it once, the light comes on. Push it again, the light goes off. If you hold it when it's on, it'll go into SOS mode. So if you've got this in your car and you break down on the side of the road and it's dark out there, you can put this thing down on the side of the road. That flashing will alert cars that there's somebody at the side of the road and they're not going to crash into the back of you. So nice little touch here on the side. They didn't have to add that. We actually used that quite a bit when we were charging our devices because the house was dark at that point. And if you've got to plug something in, you can just tap the light, you can make the connection and turn the light off again. So I think Jackery's really thought of everything. But if you're comparing this to other units, the big things to remember are, number one, you want to have at least 1 outlet that's a courtesy outlet like in your car. You want to have a collection of USBs on the front, and you want to have 1 outlet for AC that's definitely a pure sine wave. And then the capacity of the unit's important as well. This one's 518 watt hours, which again, I feel like is right in the middle of being too heavy because there are bigger ones out there, but I'm not going to lug them around, take them out in the woods with me, or too small where they're only going to last a couple of hours or you can only charge a couple of things from them. This 500 watt hours to me is the perfect size if you're looking for one of these portable battery stations. The last thing I'll mention is you want to make sure the unit has some kind of battery management system built in, because what that intelligence does is it protects the internal batteries when you're charging it, so it knows that it's got a current being delivered to those internal batteries, and when it gets to the point where they're full, it's going to turn off. It also protects anything you're going to connect to the front of it, so that battery management system is looking at all the ports on the front like I'd mentioned earlier, and if you connect up a phone to one port and a tablet to another port, it knows that that has to deliver different current to those ports, and it does that really intelligently, so it's going to protect all the external devices you're going to connect up to it to charge them. And that's pretty much it for today. So I hope you've enjoyed this clip. I think this is a wonderful product. I love working with this company. I'm expecting to get a solar panel as well that I'll be testing very soon. I'll take that outside and show you how you can use that solar panel if you're a camping fanatic or you're out in the woods a lot. You can set that up in the sun and charge this thing, and you can, pretty much have unlimited power out there in the field when you're away from home for a couple of days, and I'll review that soon. If you have any questions about this product or any other products, drop those in the comments below and I'll get back to you as quickly as I can with an answer. I love talking about this kind of technology, and I know it's not a drone, but I use it with my drones to charge my Mavics, my Mavic Airs, my Mavic Minis, all the drones that I fly out in the field, and I can do that either by using a car adapter here or by using the AC on the other side. And you can get on a Mavic Air 2, I think I've gotten 10 or 12 charges out of this thing easily to charge all my batteries. So taking it out in the field, I can be charging the battery while I'm flying, which allows me to fly a lot longer. So it's a great addition to my kit. And that was pretty much it. So thanks again for watching. If you have any questions, let me know. And until next time, stay nerdy.